Hey y'all, Max here, and welcome back for Season 2! The show doesn't have a name. I have no idea how infrequently I will post videos for Season 2, but I do have at least, a handful of ideas for this. I'm also leaving these videos public now, so Season 1 is private, so if you saw Season 1, you're special. And hopefully this is more fun. I don't know. So, with that out of the way, I went to Retro GameCon in Syracuse, New York last week, picked up some cool things, and I figured that would be a fun way to just make another video and see if anybody enjoys this type of really poorly made content anyway. So, I'm just going to show off a few things that I got. I also got some other stuff like Cards Against Muggles, which is Harry Potter Cards Against Humanity, Cards Against Disney, Cards Against Humanity for Disney. I got some t-shirts, some socks, some other cool things. But I'm just going to show off the games because all the shirts are now in the laundry, because I already wore them. But we'll get started. Same deal as we did for Season 1. Let's start from the very newest stuff and work our way back. So, starting off with Switch games, we got Donut County. So, I didn't get this... Donut County. I didn't get this in the convention. On my way home, my friend and I, we stopped at 2 game stores. And in the second game store, it was hidden all the way in the back of the case, priced significantly cheaper than what it goes for. So I was like, oh my god, I have to get that. Not because it was a deal, but because I hadn't seen it anywhere else ever. So that was pretty cool to get. I don't actually know what it's about, but the name Donut County is a name you just can't pass up. The other game I got, we had it at the game store not that long ago, but we had a collector's version of it. So I didn't want to spend money on a collector's version for something that I didn't know what it was. But it is just equally as silly. It is My Friend Pedro, and it says, Blood Bullets Bananas. So, a banana named Pedro, I'm guessing, is the premise to this game. It's silly. It seems funny. From what I understand, it's a shooter. So I probably will never play it, because I don't play shooters, but Blood Bullets Bananas, that's just way too funny to not do. Moving on, we have 2 Wii U items. The first one is Game & Wario, which is a game I've been looking for a long time. Now, the disclaimer here is that this is a disc only, because the art is actually printed. And when I picked it up, I saw the price, I was like, oh my god, gotta get that. And before I was about to check out at the convention, the gentleman told me that it's printed out artwork, and I was like, oh no! So that was a bummer. The disc plays just fine, and the one mini game I did play when I tested it was actually a lot of fun. If only it wasn't on the Wii U. But I went back the second day and I said, would you do a certain price lower than what you had listed for? And he was like, yeah, maybe. And I was totally shocked because I wasn't expecting him to say yes. He took the deal, and I ended up getting Game & Wario. So the artwork is it's really good printing. You wouldn't know if I didn't tell you. But I'm really glad I have this now because it's something I was actually looking for a really long time. The other Wii U item, which was just way too silly to not get, it's a Mario Kart 8 Luigi wheel. It is brand new. It is sealed on the top. So I can never open this, but this was just hilarious, and the price that the person had it for was significantly cheaper than it probably should have been. But the price wasn't what I was concerned about. It's just a silly item, so I had to get it. Moving a little bit backwards, we are now onto the Wii, and we got 2 Wii games. The first of which is Bit Trip Complete, and this is a game I've actually wanted for a really long time. A lot like Game & Wario, a lot like Donut County. And the story behind this is it's a collection of games in the Bit Trip series. And it's interesting because when I initially heard about it, I believe I heard about it as games that were lost on WiiWare. So WiiWare was basically the eShop for the Wii, but a lot of games were never saved from the WiiWare, from like the Wii Shop channel. So there's a lot of games that you just can't play anymore that are WiiWare, except these games, because they were brought into one edition. So it's really cool, and I was going back to research a little bit so I could give you more accurate information, and I couldn't find anything that it was about WiiWare, and I was really, really lost, and I was like, oh my god, how did I hear about this originally? It's a really neat game. It's you're playing 80s type games, but with modern graphics, and a lot of it is about also the soundtrack. The soundtrack is really, really cool. So that was really cool to test out, and I'm really glad I have that. The other one, it was in a dollar bin, so I had to get it. It's Dancing with the Stars. In completely unrelated news, Dancing with the Stars is now on Disney Plus exclusively. So at one point, our family was on strike saying we shouldn't watch shows that are exclusively on streaming platforms, but then we gave it an hour watching Dancing with the Stars again. So that's just kind of funny. But for $1, who's it going to kill? Moving forward, we have 2 DS games, one of which is really cool. The other one, it's kind of funny. The first one is the Game & Watch collection. This is the first of 2 Game & Watch collections. So we talked a little bit about this in Season 1, for those of you that remember. The Game & Watch was a series of handheld game systems that were just little LCD games, very much like just handheld electronic games, but made by Nintendo. And it was essentially Nintendo's first foray into the gaming market. They saw the Game & Watches did well, then came the NES/Famicom and the Game Boy, and the Game & Watch games, because they're so simple, got a lot of re-releases on handheld systems. For example, we had a bunch of Game Boy galleries, there's a bunch of Game & Watch collections, and this is just one of them on the DS. But the interesting thing about this one is that this was Club Nintendo only, so that's the only way you could get it. It was never released in stores, which is really cool. The store that I bought this from had the second one, but the first one was priced way cheaper than it should have been. The second one was priced a lot more accurately, which is good. I'm not complaining that it was priced accurately, right? I'm not out just looking for deals. I just saw and I said I had to buy it. But I passed on the second one because I could probably find the second one cheaper elsewhere. But that's okay. The other DS game I got was a game I watched, or a show that I watched growing up, Zoey 101. You know, same time period as Drake and Josh, iCarly, The Amanda Show. So Zoey 101, saw it. It was very cheap. I said, let me just do it. So that was that. I remember the sprites in the game for Zoey were, it was horrifying. I think it's right on the back. I have no idea if you're going to be able to see this. That's what they made Zoey look like. Kind of horrifying. But mid-2000s handheld games. Moving further back, these were available at Retro GameCon's own merch table. It is Mother 1, 2, wow, I can't hold games. Mother 1, 2, and 3, unofficial English translations that were put onto Repro Game Boy Advance carts. For those of you that are not familiar with Mother, if you're familiar with Earthbound, Earthbound came out on the Super Nintendo, and it's one of the most expensive games on the Super Nintendo, and one of the most sought-after gaming pieces of history, period, just because of its story. So Earthbound is actually Mother 2 in Japan. We never got Earthbound 1, or Mother 1, and we never got Mother 3, just because Nintendo of America and Nintendo of Japan felt that the content in in Mother 3 wouldn't quite translate over well to American audiences. I'm drawing a blank. It's either there's like a transgender character, or a character that cross-dresses, and for whatever reason in the early 2000s, Nintendo said, yeah, we probably shouldn't put that in America. It'll cause hellfire. So it never came over officially. But when Earthbound was added to the Switch Online service, they also added Earthbound Beginnings, which is supposed to be Mother 1 in America. So that's pretty neat. Not that I'm like obsessed with Earthbound, but it is cool to have ways to play 1, 2, and 3 if I really wanted to, which is cool. Moving further back, we are now on the PlayStation 2. 2 items. One, not as wildly exciting. Tak and the Guardians of Gross. Tak and the Power of Juju was one of my very first PS2 games. And I remember playing the sequel, Tak and the Staff of Dreams, and then it became a Nickelodeon show. And this happens to be another game in that series. So I have 3 of the 4 games that were released on PS4. The last one's Tak and the Great Juju Challenge. I'll get it at some point, but it was cool to get another Tak and the Power of Juju game. The other item, which was also really cool, Never knew this existed. And for anybody that I spoke to after Too Many Games, a game that I bought at Too Many Games was a PS1 Disney collection. It had a combination of 3 games on it, or 3 discs all put together in one. I never knew those existed. And I never knew this PlayStation 2 bundle existed either. So it's the Harry Potter collection, and it comes with Chamber of Secrets, Prisoner of Azkaban, and Goblet of Fire. Now, when I bought this, I was like, that is really cool. I just had to get it. I didn't know if I had all 3 games. So if I didn't, it would be cool to just get those 3 games again. And then I got home, looked at my shelf that is underneath the Shrek right here, and I saw that I had all 3 games already. So essentially, I paid a lot of money for just this slipcover and discs that say, wrong side, discs that say not for resale, part of a set at the bottom. It's still really cool because I didn't know it existed, but probably more than I should have paid for it to begin with. But so it goes. Moving just a little further back, we're almost done. These episodes are not going to be nearly as long as they were in the past. We have 2 Super Nintendo games. The first one is Real Monsters, another Nickelodeon show. Can't say a whole lot about it because I don't remember a whole lot of it, but I do remember watching it. The other one is Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle and Friends. I admittedly didn't test it all the way because Super Nintendo games, if they boot up, they're usually pretty okay to play the whole way through, but still cool. 2 shows that I never actually watched. Well, Real Monsters I watched growing up. Rocky and Bullwinkle I never formally watched, but I remember seeing it. So that's just cool. On the Game Boy, the original Game Boy, just as I was checking out at the second store and we were almost home, my friend that I was with, he goes, "Oh, did you see these games in the case?" And I saw this one, I had to buy it. It's Aladdin for the Game Boy. Just, I collect Disney games, and it was Aladdin, so I had to buy it. I also, when I was just doing research and putting, filling out my spreadsheets and all that stuff that I have and don't have, I looked up Aladdin on the Game Boy Advance, and it's like a $60 game, which is really weird. It has nothing to do with the Game Boy version. It's the Game Boy Advance version, but I thought that was really weird, and I'm not entirely sure why it's so expensive. But the very last item, it's an NES game, and moving along with the theme that I collect Disney games, it's the Jungle Book for NES. So every other version of the Jungle Book is really, really, really cheap. They're mostly the same game. The one on the Super Nintendo is roughly the same game. The one on the Game Boy is roughly the same game. I assume the one on the Game Boy Advance is roughly the same game. All of them are mostly the same game, but for whatever reason, this one's expensive. Not crazy expensive, but I saw it. I had never seen it elsewhere, and I said, I just have to buy it. So that was a lot of the problem stuff that had never come into the store that I said, I should really get that. Probably paid market price when I could get a discount at the store, but that's not what this is about. It's about collecting stuff because I'm a hoarder. Anyway, so that's everything that I got. I hope you enjoyed this shorter video. Going forward, because I'm making these videos public, at least for the friends that are watching this, if you wanted to subscribe and put on the notifications so that I don't need to send you the video every single time, that would be cool. If you still want me to formally send you the video, I can do that too. But it's just a way to sort of simplify the process whenever I post one of these. So, not that I ever thought of doing an outro, but bye.